officially starting in 3, 2, 1. It won't pick up any of that.
All right.
Okay, welcome to the Journalism Club interviews. New place again. I'm always shifting places because doing an interview in one place wouldn't be that cool. So yeah, I'm in Mr. Hans's class, and the atmosphere right now is pretty quiet, not much noise. And so I have a very special guest with me today. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Mr. Hans.
Mr. Hans, you're a teacher here?
Yeah, been teaching here 6 years now. So I teach world history, economics, navigating life, and ethnic studies.
Nice. Okay, first question. Which president do you consider as a good father figure?
Father figure?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always liked Lincoln. I like Teddy Roosevelt as well.
Teddy Roosevelt. I love
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt was a real go-getter.
He was a man.
Yeah, man's man.
Yeah. So do you think he would be like a strict father figure? You know, really get his sons like out there doing stuff?
I don't know, sons and daughters. Yeah, because in Teddy Roosevelt's case, it was his daughter.
He had a daughter?
Yeah. She's
Oh,
a
wow.
toughie. You should read all about her.
Uh-huh.
She was a wild child.
What was she like?
Oh, she just did whatever she wanted to do because she had this. She acted just like her dad. So she's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, Alice
Alice.
Roosevelt.
She was a
You look her up.
tomboy?
She's a big history figure. Yeah.
Oh, man.
She said, like, go grab animals and have like snakes and lizards in her house and stuff like that, and all kinds of different stuff.
Wow. Would she like make them fight? What was
I
she
think she
doing?
was a fighter too. Yeah. Oh no, I think not the animals fight. I think she got in fights.
Uh-huh.
She's a toughie. She wouldn't put up with anyone. She's a real supporter of kind of like the downtrodden. That's how I understand it.
Downtrodden.
Like the people poor and stuff like that. People
Oh, she helped the
disadvantaged.
community. And do you think she got that from her father?
Yeah, I do. Even though they were a wealthy family,
Yeah.
they had a lot of hardship. He was born with asthma. And he's a very sickly kid,
Wow.
and then he kind of wheeled his way and worked his way into like being a top athlete. Then he had a lot of tragedy in his life. So her mom dies
Oh.
the same day his mother died. The same day his wife died,
Wow.
and then he leaves his daughter with family and goes off into the wilderness for a long time.
He
And they-
abandoned his daughter.
Well, I think it was more of like, I'm just not emotionally. He was a very young man, so he's in his 20s, I think. And I think he just needed to, like, kind of. He was so close to his mom and so close to his wife that when they both died on the same day, it just kind of destroyed him.
That broke up.
So he left his daughter with his family, went west, where it was still Wild West, and kind of. I think he was almost putting his life in danger just to see if he could handle it or not. And
But
then
he became president. He just like
this is like long before he becomes president, right? And he goes back there. He's like fighting Indians and just a real mountain man.
Yeah.
And then he comes back when he's emotionally healed as best as he could be, and then he takes his daughter back in. But yeah, she's a wild spirit.
there wasn't any like hard feelings because I'd feel like if I was
I think she was just a
abandoned
baby.
as
So I think the wife dies in childbirth. Like
Oh,
when she's
yeah.
so I think he's back before she even is really cognizant of her mom and dad not being around. She's probably like 4 or 5 when he comes back.
Wow. Okay. So another question: if rent costed like so much to the point where it's just like cheaper to live in a cruise, would you basically live in a cruise?
Oh, I know there's people that do that. I've
Yeah.
seen that. I think it does make a lot of sense. I don't like cruise ships, but traveling around the world, I've stayed on a catamaran in Panama for a week. That was amazing, and we just went island to island. I've done some catamaranning around Maui, which was just day trips, but still, like you
Yeah.
get to see different parts of the island that you never get to see.
Were there any tribes at Maui? Like, did you get hunted?
No, Maui's just like Alameda.
Oh man.
No.
It's
But
a-
Panama was trippy because there was a lot of deserted islands. Like so there's thousands of them. In fact, one of the guys that was out there, you're allowed to go down to Panama, and as long as you don't get off your boat, you're not officially in Panama.
Oh man,
So it's a trick.
it's a trick.
So the people we were with, they said, see that yacht? There's a huge boat.
Yeah.
And they go, the guy never gets off that boat. So he can never get off to go get food. He's been on that boat for over 15 years.
Wow.
And his wife takes a little boat. She goes and gets food and stuff like that and brings it back. And I think they think it's because he's like a mafioso or some kind of wanted
and
criminal.
he just can't step on the island.
Once he steps on land,
Yeah.
he
he's
can get
getting
arrested. So that's the thought. But anyways,
Wow.
it's
That's
kind of crazy.
insane.
There's people all over the world doing weird stuff. You know, it's amazing when you travel. You see all kinds of stuff.
Were there any like events in history that just stuck out because it was so weird?
Events in history.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the Taiping Rebellion in China. That was crazy.
That was bad.
I can't imagine anything like that. And then, I mean, the Roman times seemed very decadent and wild, and you know,
I would live in the Roman times just to watch the gladiators.
yeah,
fight.
it would be amazing. I don't know if you would like it as much as it would just be just so different.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, I like the Wild West. So the 1800s.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you dream of being like a cowboy when you were like growing up?
Yeah, I always liked that. I always loved it. Actually, I was always more connected to the Native American groups.
Oh, not Clint Eastwood.
No, I do like Clint Eastwood too. But yeah, when I was real little, I always saw myself as more of like wanting to be a part of a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Be like in the Comanche or the Apache or something like that would be pretty cool.
Like a chief.
I don't know about that, but, but then when you learn more and more about it, it was a really rough life. It was tough and very violent, and we have a very nice life today.
That's true. Because like they got this land stolen and like everything.
Well, even before European interaction, it was like they were fighting everybody. I mean, that's what Comanche. The word Comanche is another Native American word for them, which means never smiles. So basically, the Comanche were just fighting everybody all the time. That's their whole existence.
That's like
it was just fighting.
My.
So you're always at war, and that's not a fun way to live, I don't think. But
maybe it's fun. Or like I think there was like support troops in like the tribes where there's like healers and stuff, shamans.
Yeah, they had shamans and stuff like that. But still, your obsession, you're constantly being nomadic, looking for one fight, going to another fight is, I don't know, that's a rough way to live.
But yeah. So, anything that like shocked you during this school year?
This school year?
Yes.
Shocked me this school year?
Or was it pretty calm? Tame?
No, also this is. I think this has been our easiest school year. In the 6 years I've been at ASTI. So we're not moving. I mean, we had 1 year where we moved 3 times in one semester. That was wild. I like being in the portables. I like seeing everybody. I think the portables are looking better and better.
Yeah, you get your own. I feel like do you feel more at home at these portables since they're so small compared to like the giant building?
Yeah, I feel like this is our little section.
Yeah.
And when I first came here, this is all I knew, and the idea of moving on the middle of campus was exciting. But this is all pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So it was all, hey, we're gonna move in the campus and really feel like we're part of the college community. And I thought, oh, that sounds really cool. And I liked my room because I had an incredible view of the Oakland Hills and stuff. But when we moved, it was actually in the middle of COVID, and so we were the only ones there.
In the middle of the school year?
Yeah, when we moved over there, there was no college kids. We were the only students on campus.
Oh.
So we never got the full experience of what it's like to be in the middle of campus while the campus. We still don't know what the campus is like full. Most of the college classes are remote.
They're all like online.
Yeah, so we never got to really experience what it'd be like normal.
No. But you feel like kings, like you own the place since you're just the only ones in it.
It was different. So then it was like we were also separated too. So it's nice being back here. I like walking out and seeing all the different classes and interacting with the staff and the students and stuff. So this little section of ours with our garden and everything is really nice.
Was the garden built just for us, or did we like steal it from the college?
I think that is a donation from the college to the ASTI, but that's long before. I've only been here 6 years, so I think the garden's been here about 20. So, long time.
Nice. So, like, do you think the Allies in World War II would have lost if Hitler didn't like betray Stalin?
I think the whole history of the world completely changes if he doesn't invade Russia.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like.
England was on its last leg.
Uh huh.
The United States was being isolationist.
They were powerful though.
Well, the U.S. Well, we hadn't joined the war yet, so there's still a lot of people who are like, I don't want to get involved. And if England falls, the U.S. has no base to work out of. They'd have to work out of like Iceland.
That's the prime moment to join the war. I feel like they would have joined the war if the Russians and the Germans just kept on attacking.
Then the U.S. would have joined.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, but it got really close. I mean, they almost invaded England. So if England falls, I mean, France fell so fast. So if England falls, the U.S. has no military base to use. They can't go to Ireland. That's too close. There was no, like, England allowed the United States to use it as like a staging area to then attack in Africa and Europe.
They had like military bases there.
And so you got, if England go, and I think England falls if Germany doesn't invade Russia. So they had the whole plans. It's called Operation Sea Lion, if you want to see it. But it's all the Germans' plans for invading England. And I mean, it probably would have been a lot of casualties. And I think the British would have probably. Well, here's the weird thing. Now there's more and more evidence showing that there was a lot of English that were ready to surrender.
Yeah.
So if they actually have Germans, like Nazis, running down the street, how many people are actually going to fight? And I thought originally that they would have fought man to man, like to let.
No. Yeah,
Now it looks like no. It looks like a lot of people would have said, "We'll make peace."
So like once like if Britain would have fall, do you think the United States would have like dropped the bombs on them instead of Japan?
Well, they would have never gotten the bombs because the only reason they got the bombs is because a lot of the German scientists that they get from in the middle of the war and stuff like that.
They got it from POWs.
They got it from, well, some of the scientists are actually former Nazi.
Oh man.
So, yeah, that's where our space race comes from too. Like we took all their scientists and brought them over. So there was people working on the Manhattan Project early on.
Yeah.
But still, if England falls, and we're talking about if England falls, that's way before 41. We're talking like 38, 39. Everything changes. I think then the United States just has to basically say we want peace. I don't know.
That
We
would
shouldn't,
suck.
but it would be just so hard.
Yeah. Because they could
Fighting
like,
across the Atlantic is really hard.
yeah.
And then if we were all, literally, if you're saying you got Germany on one side and it has all of Europe, and say Russia's neutral,
they have the landscapes.
and then Japan and the Pacific, we would be forced to like just be isolated. We would be isolated.
Yeah.
Who would join us?
Oh no, they would probably just bomb us.
Yeah, because all of like Mexico and Latin America was pretty much staying out of it. So I don't know if we could have fought by ourselves.
But
it all worked out for the best the way it worked out. But
yeah.
yeah, it got close there.
We're lucky. We're lucky.
Yeah, yeah, it did. It didn't have to. I think that's the thing about history. Everyone thinks, oh, I can see how it ended up, so that's how it's going to end up. Every one of those things. Hitler changes his mind, invades England, you got a different war. Hitler doesn't invade Russia, you got a different war.
Yeah.
Right. Japan doesn't bomb Pearl Harbor, you have a different war.
Hitler was like cracked out of his mind.
No, there's
I
a
heard
lot
he
of
was,
evidence
like-
that he's on drugs and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because like they like marketed like cocaine in Germany was big during World War II.
Well, they had they were the inventors of like meth.
Yeah.
So their soldiers. That's what they're starting to come more and more information about how, you know, when you ask yourself how could the soldiers do some of the atrocities that they do? Well, if they're all drugged out for 3 or 4 days without
Yeah,
sleeping.
it felt like a video game for them.
Yeah, well, before video games. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah they
But,
probably didn't really know what was going on.
Do you think that Germany like assault just failed because the meth effects, the side effects of meth just caught up to them, all the soldiers, and
Where
they just-
over time,
yeah,
I think they were so successful. You got to remember, they went like undefeated for years.
yeah, Blitzkrieg.
And everywhere they went, they just, it was supposed to be way harder than it was. And they Blitzkrieg just rolled through everybody.
Yeah.
And I think the big I mean, I'm glad it worked out the way it did, but the big mistake was invading Russia. And if they just,
If they
if
just
this focused in on England, you got a whole,
we would have been like wearing like you know.
speaking German, I don't know. It's weird.
Speaking German.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it just they were just flying through everybody, and people were scared to stand up to them. And so there's a lot of countries remaining neutral, like Spain and Portugal, and Switzerland, so many others. And then you just didn't want to get Germany's attention.
No, I felt like the U.S. was like, don't take that, Germany, and Germany just like took it, and they kept on saying like, okay, that's the last straw. If you take that, we're gonna fight.
Not the
They
U.S.
kept-
England was
It
saying
was
that.
England.
England and France were saying that because England and France didn't want to fight another world war.
Oh, we could cut this out. Yeah.
There's two correct answers, so you pick either one of the two, you get it right. That's right. There you go.
Okay. So like Churchill,
Yeah.
once he like came in office, he was like,
Yeah.
we got to do something about this.
Yeah. Well, he was. It's kind of weird because growing up, he was seen as such a hero in my family and someone to be really respected. And I still respect the good things he does, which he gives these incredible speeches. And he basically is the one that was like, you're going to have to kill every single one of us.
Yeah.
And we will never surrender. So when you live those kind of speeches and it rallies, I mean, the people were terrified. You got to remember, people are living in subways because they're being bombed at night. So all the families are living in the subway tunnels and stuff in London. And it doesn't look good. It looks like you're going to lose. And just imagine if the Nazis were there going in the subways. Like,
They
you
were
got a lot of
massacred.
a lot of dead people. And I don't think England's ever been had any, except for like if you go back to like Viking invasions, like that's rough to get invaded. I mean, the air attack was horrific.
England was king.
Yeah. So for them to be in land invaded and losing people left and right, it would have been a culture shock for England. They've always been the aggressors. To
Yeah.
have them be on the such. I mean, that's why the battle for Britain is so amazing, because they were losing and their numbers are not on their side. The technology is not on their side. They should lose.
But they
But Churchill doesn't let them.
yeah. Who do you think is more charismatic as a leader, Churchill or Hitler?
Oh, that's a tough one. Both are very charismatic guys. I think that's the crazy thing, and I don't want to get people riled up, but when you see Hitler speak,
Yeah.
obviously, he's probably on drugs and he's just spitting and going crazy. But the German people loved him.
Yeah.
And there's a new app right now that they're basically translating him because they got auto
With, like,
recordings where he's
AI?
just talking.
Yeah, I heard one. From
And it's all in
speeches.
English. And they calm him down. And he's saying, he sounds like you can understand why people would be like, okay, he's a politician. Like he's saying what the people want to hear, and they loved him.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. That's the thing. You never know when you got somebody who could be very popular. That could be a horrible person, but just know the right thing to say.
Yeah. And he could
And
like,
act the
really-
right way in front of you, where you go, oh, I'm going to ignore all the other stuff and just kind of focus it on the stuff I like.
Yeah, because while I was listening to one of his speeches, I was like agreeing. I was like, yeah, freaking.
Well, I mean, I think the big mistake of World War I is they should not have punished Germany. That was a horrible
yeah,
war.
The Germans were desperate.
The Germans weren't even the ones that started that war. And to have to accept all blame and punishment, they'd still be paid for it even today, like 2024. They'd still be paid reparations back from World War I,
Yeah.
100 years ago. And it was crazy. I mean, Germany was the one or two economy of the Europe, and if they had just made friends with them, what a strong economic ally for Britain and France. They should have just looked at it as it is today. Britain, France, and Germany get along with each other because it makes money. It's economic sense. So if they had healed Germany faster, like we do. See, the problem is World War II, when it's over,
Yeah.
we the United States, become best friends with Germany. So here we are, our worst enemy. We defeat them, unconditional surrender.
And we stole all their technology, and we became best friends with them.
And then we're still there. Our troops have never left. We still have troops in Germany.
Wow.
Same with Japan. So we learned from the mistakes of World War One, I think, in that who are our enemies? Germany and Japan. Well, guess what? The second the peace treaty happens, they're our best friends.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to fight them again. And so we've never left Japan just to keep an eye on them, but also to be friends. And we've never left Germany just to keep an eye on them and to be best friends. And I think that's, if you go back in time, our president was not very strong, in my opinion. It was Woodrow Wilson at the end of World War One, and he's one of those presidents that's got kind of a good reputation, but the more they fight it, it's amazing that time goes by and then you hear more and more. So like Woodrow Wilson publicly looks very good, but as you pull the sheets back, you realize there's a lot of bad stuff he did.
Bad president.
I think he was a member of the KKK.
Oh man,
there's a lot of stuff about him that's like just does not look good.
Was he the wizard?
I think he may have been a hype. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have all the information, but it just doesn't. If you had Teddy Roosevelt at the end of World War One, leading a peace movement, because people forget Teddy Roosevelt was a tough guy, like we talked about,
but he
also got the Nobel Peace Prize for negotiating a peace between Russia and Japan before World War One even started.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
He is a person that can lead peace, and I think if he was younger or was president at the time of World War One ending, it would have had a different outcome because he had the power.
Yeah.
Like that's a president that has the power to kind of lead other nations, and Woodrow Wilson did not have that power. And plus, Britain and France were so hurt, and their people were so upset, and they had lost so. I mean, literally, you could go around France, and there was old men, like in their 80s.
Like the veterans?
No, past, like too old to serve.
Oh, man.
So all the guys that couldn't fight World War One, they're super old, right? They got to be like in their 70 or 80s.
Yeah.
And you had the young boys. There was nobody in between. Like almost all the male population of 15 to 40
they just
was
died.
gone.
Oh man.
And so there's a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of upsetness. And then when you say, what do you get out of the war? I can see from their perspective of, I want everything Germany has. Like, they're going to pay me for all my losses. But the reality was, they should have looked at, how do we make Germany our best friend? Because it's not that long after World War One that we got World War Two. So.
But so another question: if you were to travel back in time, and give like a soldier advice, like don't drink the stew because you're gonna get dysentery, like what advice would you give him?
Who would I talk to? Native American groups. I would say like don't take those, don't trade at all with the whites. I mean, we got early evidence of like women that were purposely like giving blankets to people with smallpox because they know that the disease, they didn't know how the disease would get on there, but they knew the disease would be spread to the blankets.
That's messed up.
And then they would give it to the Indians so that they would spread the disease. I mean, Native Americans are decimated long before any fighting.
Yeah.
Because of all the European diseases and illnesses. Smallpox. They think now that, like the Aztecs, for example, their capital had millions and millions and millions of people. And then by the time Cortez comes in,
all that smallpox.
They're already decimated by smallpox.
Oh, man.
And that's why they're not their strongest. That's how you have a few hundred conquistadors able to defeat a million Aztecs. Yeah. It's because, well, it was really like 7 million Aztecs and 6 million of them just died and they're in a like state of shock of like, imagine looking around and
All your people
one out
dead.
of every 4 people has just died a horrible death right in front of you.
Yeah.
You're kind of not ready to defend yourself. You're kind of wondering what the heck's going on with the world. Probably think like the world's ending.
Yeah, we should have just used that strategy against the Germans.
I
Spend
think they were
smallpox.
too smart to go for the smallpox blanket. But biological weaponry is horrible. Well, that would be my advice. Don't trust the Europeans.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard because I like America and stuff, but we have a violent history. It's kind of hard to go back and say, I'm going to change this, but not change that.
But
right?
we learn from that. It's great because we learn from our experience. Now we're a free country.
Yeah, hopefully we got to a point where. Sorry. Hopefully we got to a point where we can be like a example of what to do, not what not to do.
Yeah.
But you gotta learn from your mistakes too. But,
Do you like when? Okay, so here's a question: do you ever feel sad about any like students who graduate that you hold like a lot of importance to them?
like when they go away, do I feel sad they're gone?
Yeah, once they graduate, go to college.
I mean, no, I'm always happy and excited when they're going off to school. It's fun to see them kind of blossom. Henry Lee last year is probably my biggest one because he was so different as a freshman. He was so quiet, so reserved, so shy. Getting him to talk in class was like pulling teeth. And he didn't really put himself out there. And he admitted all this himself, too. And then over the 4 years, he just blossomed into such a school leader.
Yeah,
And
he could.
he's speaking in front of the college. He's speaking in front of the school boards.
I've noticed. He said he's gonna work in like the government, so he might be the first Asian president.
I think Henry Lee can do whatever he wants to do. So, yeah, when I look at people like Henry or other individuals, it's funny. I had not so much at ASTI because I guess it was just right. I was the vice principal and principal at Lincoln for 10 years, and I was the vice principal and principal at Alameda High for 3 years. And so sometimes my relationship with students was different because sometimes I was disciplined with problems that they were going through.
Yeah.
And so seeing them in the classroom is much different than seeing them as an administrator.
What made you switch? Go to ASTI?
I got transferred actually. So there was the superintendent at the time. He was on his way out, and one of his last acts was transferring me from Lincoln Middle School to here.
Oh, was that like a "haha, got you"
I
type
think
of
so.
act? But
Can't prove it. But that's how it felt. So, but I'm happy. I'm very happy here. I love the school and the classes, and it's been the best thing for me. So I would say I was like, it's not like I resigned and said I want to go back to teaching, but I do think for my family and for myself, it was the best thing that could happen. So it's all worked out very well.
so you accepted all this.
I can't hear you. What?
You accepted all this, and like there were no.
Yeah, I
conflicts.
think after it took me probably about a year or two to kind of.
Adjust.
And then COVID hit right in that year or two. So it's kind of weird. You got to remember, my first time back, we don't even finish the year out and we shut down the schools. So it was a weird transition for everybody.
Yeah, but is it fun as like a history teacher to like teach students and get to know them?
Yeah, I think so. That's why I also like having the Navigating Life and the Ethics Studies classes. Those are fun ways to kind of learn more about each other, different cultures. We have such a diverse population here at ASTI. And so when kids open up and share, like our freshman class right now is our most engaging, most dynamic, most like expressive freshman class we've ever had that I've been around.
Wow.
And so I can't wait for like ethics studies because I think they're going to really come alive and just like tell us all about like, if they don't know their own history, I think they're going to be super excited to learn it and share it. And it's been wonderful having them. And we've just been doing the mental health lessons, but now we're moving into physical health and stuff. But,
Yeah. As you get older,
yeah.
do you like tend to care less
About what?
about like, stuff that usually you would see yourself being bothered at a younger age?
Like you learn how to like kind of let go of some of the stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't say I care less, but I do think there's fewer things that upset me. Um, I also think with age comes a little bit of sense of like maybe you don't know all the answers, or just because you feel this way doesn't mean everyone has to feel this way.
That's true.
So you get a little. I'm hoping with age comes a little bit of maturity and a sense of like being more open to ideas and stuff like that. So
Was there a certain point where you're just like, wow, I've like matured, or was it just like you didn't even notice it? You just grew into it.
I don't know, man. I went, right from high school into college, and then started teaching. So when I started, like my first year student teaching, I felt like I was just a couple years older than the students.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I taught right in high school, my student teaching years. So I'm 21, 22, and I got 18-year-olds in the class, right? So it's a little,
Yeah.
it was a little different. I don't know. I think getting married, having children. Once the kids get a little bit, your children get a little bit older, then you start to really. I think
Settle
that's what
down.
really kind of changed my perspectives on kids. I think it went from somewhere in there
Having kids.
goes from somewhere in there goes from being like I feel like I'm just like you guys. To all of a sudden, like you're my kids too. So
Yeah.
somewhere it changes. I don't know exactly what it does.
That's a
But
nice
it is
percent-
weird because my student teaching was like, oh, we're all peer. Basically, I would say I was your teacher, but you
You're
look
my
more
kid.
like I look like a peer.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, something happens where you just get to a point where you see them all as like your children, and so it was different.
That's sweet. That's
Yeah,
sweet.
I don't know exactly what that happened, but it did happen.
But purely on fashion sense, do you think the Allied forces like dressed better, or was it the Nazis?
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but like Hugo Boss, the designer that's very popular today,
The Germany?
he's the Hugo Boss is the designer for all the Nazi uniforms
Oh
and stuff.
man.
So, I mean,
Was he originally like German, or did he like move to Germany?
no, he was German.
Oh,
Yeah, he's still. There's a lot of Japanese and German businesses that profited very much from the Axis powers. What was the uniform I really liked? I'm trying to think. I mean, I always loved, and I haven't studied it enough, but like World War II's are like really the start of like the commandos and stuff like that. So you got like the desert rats is what they called them. That's what they
Desert
called
rats.
themselves, and that's like British commandos. And those guys are like not shaving. They're in North Africa.
No.
They're basically hit and run tech. They're acting like Native Americans in the Wild West. They're basically hit and run and hiding and
they were using like guerrilla warfare on them.
yeah, total guerrilla warfare in North Africa, and doing an incredible job. They had the early before Navy SEALs come into play, but the early groups that become the Navy SEALs, those guys are all in World War II. They're doing like wild stuff too. So
So the Navy SEALs, they were originally like a freaking force in North.
the original Navy SEALs comes apart from it's a British SAA, which is like their secret service.
Oh,
But they're doing stuff like you're not really necessarily wearing their uniform. You don't really know what side you're on,
Yeah.
and you're just kind of getting behind enemy lines and doing all kinds of stuff to mess them up. They're not exactly playing by the rules. There's a great, I know it's kind of silly because it's not 100% accurate, but there was a great movie that just came out last year about one of the first SAA operations. So it's a real operation. In real life, nobody got killed.
No.
In the movie, like
Everyone-
1,000 Germans get killed. But I mean, who doesn't mind watching Nazis get killed, right?
No.
You're like, oh, that's fun. So it's a great movie. The guy that plays Superman's in it. I can't think of the name of it right now. It just came out in the theater last year. But check that movie out. It's a fun one.
I will. Did you
That's
watch?
it's a good World War II movie.
I will check it out. But did you watch Inglorious Bastards by like
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino?
So I watched that. I love it.
Yeah.
That movie that came out last year is a combination of Inglourious Bastards. So it's in that same style. And another great World War II movie is The Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
Which is basically the same thing. We're going to take 12 guys.
And just kill all the
We're just
Germans.
going to kill as many people as
So-
we possibly can.
The Inglorious Bastards, it was just like for that movie that you said earlier, it was
Yeah.
just the movie scene where the freaking two dudes in the cinema just start spraying down, but like that scene times 10.
Yeah,
And
that new movie. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. We'll put it in the
I'll put it in the edit.
yeah, in the edit because I can look at it real quick. But yeah, it's just funny. So you're watching it, and you're like, "This is amazing." It's a beautiful film too.
Yeah.
and it's funny, and then I'm like, "Oh, this really did happen." And these characters are all based on real people. Winston Churchill's in the movie a lot too.
Yeah.
And then you go back and read about the real operation, like, oh, nobody died. They were so good that they steal all the boats
Yeah.
without getting caught. And so
Okay.
nobody has to get killed.
No. Okay, we should probably wrap this up. The bell's rung, but any final thoughts, any advice, criticisms?
No, it's good talking with you, and happy to do this again. We could just make a regular segment walking through history or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
this was pretty fun. I love like learning about like bits of history.
yeah. I got all kinds of useless information, so happy to share.
Yeah, but thank you for being in my podcast. I'm grateful, and bye bye.
All right. Let me look up that movie for you.